Hello and welcome to JTV YouTube Live Shorts. I'm Janette Burke. Today I'm welcomed by Karen Green. Karen is a debut novelist with the book Yellow Birds, and she's here to discuss it with us. Karen is also a senior copywriter. Welcome to JTV YouTube Live Shorts. Karen, it's nice to see you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So Karen, you're welcome. Karen, why did you choose the Grateful Dead as an inspiration for the band in the book?
Well, I was and still am a Deadhead starting from the time that I was 16 years old. And I just amassed so many stories and adventures during that time. And, with a little bit of clarity, being able to look back on it a few years, I just thought it was the perfect time to put that part of my life into fictional form and get those stories down.
So you as a Grateful Dead fan, how many concerts have you attended?
Definitely 100, possibly more. I didn't always get into the show, but attending, absolutely. And that was part of it. You didn't always have to get into the concert. Part of the fun was just being at the shows.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say you were a groupie then?
I mean,
Do you consider yourself?
yeah, it depends on what I'm a fan. It depends on what you consider a groupie's actions to have been. Certainly, I wasn't necessarily trying to get closer to the band themselves, but it was the community and the society around the band that I wanted to be part of.
Okay. So getting back to your book and groupies, which you speak, the whole book is about groupies. What do you feel groupies bring to the music genre, and how do the bands themselves, relate or benefit or really, need these groupies? Because as you just said, there's a distinct difference between a groupie and a fan. So how do they benefit from that?
Well, it's all part of the same machine, it's the fans, the deadheads in my book. They're called yellow birds. They are, the core of everything that the band is doing. It's this built-in base of people who will always be there, always, the band makes money off of them. It's a symbiotic relationship. So the fans, the groupies, whatever you want to call them, have a place to go, a kind of meaning in their life. It's what they're kind of all about. And for the band, they can't keep going unless there's the people who are consuming what they're putting out. I can say in real life, I did have a few experiences where I was able to meet members of the Grateful Dead, for example, and they were so wonderful and warm towards the Deadheads and the fans. And it really is something that is symbiotic, and it's a nice relationship. And there's ways that the band supports the fans, and there's ways that the fan supports the band. And I really did try to get that across in the book.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just, I know you're thinking of the Grateful Dead. I'm thinking of Kiss, because Kiss is notorious for, having so many so-called groupies. And I think they said somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 women they had slept with, but they supposedly had a picture of each. I don't know if that's all true. I do think it was part of their PR campaign and their marketing philosophy, and I'm thinking that benefits them too. Um, but I mean, surely, you don't really hold much back in the book, and I know it's mostly fictitious, but I'm going to ask you, what part of the book actually draws upon your own experiences, and how did you utilize your own experiences when you were writing the manuscript?
So a lot of the things I write about did happen to me. A lot didn't. But for instance, the trip that my main characters go on, the West Coast trip, I did that tour. I did that tour a few times. So I stopped in the places that they stopped. I know the arenas that they went to. I was there as well. Everything that kind of happens peripherally, those are things that I experienced. Now, in terms of the characters, they're not real. Every character is a composite, though, of somebody that I did know, or several people that I did know. So in each of the characters, I've had friends ask, "Am I going to recognize myself?" And my answer is, I hope not, but I hope you'll recognize what we were a part of.
So when you say what you were a part of, was there any danger ever involved? I mean, you're talking about, I understand there's like this, freedom, and that must be incredibly amazing. But was there ever a chance or a time where you felt that perhaps you might be in danger because, you're on a road? I mean, there's something about the road, being on a road, right? But you're also maybe alone, or if you weren't personally alone, maybe one of the other women were alone. There was definitely a lot of drug use. There was definitely a lot of, free sex, right? And was there any feeling that they might be raped, or that you were gonna never come home, or that if you did come home, you might be coming home with a sexually transmitted disease?
Yeah, I mean, one of the wonderful things about youth is that your frontal cortex is not developed yet, and you don't think a lot about those things. So while,
Mhm.
the nature of what we were doing was risky in itself, and I think that there were probably some choices I made that, even at the time, I probably knew they were not the best choices. Nothing we did was really ruled by fear. We had great faith in what we were doing. We had perhaps too much trust in the people around us. Now, that being said, I started doing this when I was 16 years old. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I would never
Oh
ever
yeah. And what
want
would
her
you
to
tell
do
her
that.
today if she was going to do this?
No, no,
Uh-huh.
sorry, no. Like I'll accompany you to the concerts, and I'll drop you off, but no, I probably wouldn't
Uh-huh.
let you just go get on a bus with a whole bunch of friends your age and
Mm-hmm.
go off who knows where for how knows how long.
Mm-hmm. So you can imagine what your parents went through, hmm?
Yeah, I mean, it was the 90s and we're Gen X, so I don't know if my parents really like how much they
Uh-huh. So
considered.
what was it like dealing with your parents when you were doing all this?
It
I
was
mean, they were
fine.
supportive, right? Your parents let you do it. Or
I
did you tell
mean,
them the truth?
oh, they knew the truth. Yeah, they knew what we were doing. We didn't hide anything. I had an older sister that I did a lot of this with as well. I don't know. It was a different time, right? My parents were busy. I have a much younger brother and sister. My parents were busy with them. Maybe it was a little bit of a relief that we were kind of off doing our own thing and taking care of ourselves. I also never missed a day of school. I did this around school as much as I could, and I got really good grades and I did well. So there was like really no pushback. In fact, one of the first shows I ever went to, a friend of mine wanted to come with, and she did not have permission from her parents to go. And my mom helped us kind of cover it up. And she came to, I think we went to Rochester, like we crossed the border and on a bus. And my mom like was perfectly okay with my friend saying that she was just staying over at my house.
Okay. So she was actually helping you then, I guess, to live life to the fullest, so to speak.
Yeah.
But again, in the chances they might have received a call one day saying that you were arrested, come get you out, whether in Canada or the US. So, or even Europe, because I know the band does travel Europe as well.
Yeah.
So then what would you say to, today's society? It could be the youth, or it could be women from your generation who maybe didn't live as carefree as you did. What lessons could they learn from the carefree life? And the aura of being on the road, and what all that freedom and what it brings. What lessons do you feel that you learned that you could pass on to them? And maybe if they think that they're missing something in their life, or they didn't live their life to the fullest in their youth, capture it now. So what can the
Yeah.
free spirited teach the next generation, or even women who didn't get to live as freely as you did?
Yeah, I think one of the great benefits of doing this when I did it is that we did it without the benefit or the detriment of the internet. We did not have, Google in our pockets. So what that meant was we had to get into some trouble, but we also had to figure out a way to get out of some trouble. And I really think that for young people today, it's very different for them. It's really hard to find those problem solving kind of opportunities. And I do say this to my own kids, like I want you to take some chances. I want you to experience things. Until my older daughter went off to university, I don't track them on their phone. I want them to be able to have some freedom and some independence. And I think that we can still have that. I think really what I say is say yes to opportunities. Don't put yourself in danger, but think about what the opportunity is, and don't say no just because it's not kind of what you do. It's not how you usually live. I think you have to really take some opportunities, do some things that scare you. And I do try to instill that in my kids. I still do that myself. I do things that, kind of scare me all the time. And I try to just instill in my kids and their friends that it's okay to take those chances, and it's okay to, not have the outcomes that you always expected as well.
Okay. So would you say then these experiences help you grow like self-discovery? And did they shape you in a way that, you know, uh you have like more of a fondness for living life? Did they help you decide what career to path to choose? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
It, what the freedom of the or of the road, what did it really do for you in shaping your life?
It gave me the confidence to do what felt good for me, right? And what felt right for me. I really did have a very, very interesting, life. I still do, but I sometimes feel like I have lived many lives. I've done lots of different things. And
Hmm.
I think that starting young gave me
Hmm.
the confidence and the security to do that. And one of the other things is, now my life is so much quieter. I live in a small town now. I'm really quite a homebody now. The nice thing is that I don't feel like I missed out on anything. I don't feel like I squandered my youth. I don't feel like I missed opportunities. And that was because I did say yes to the opportunities when they came up. It was maybe a little bit young for some people, but it worked out for me.
Hmm. And when you share this, your experiences, I've got a two-parter here. Number one, when you share the experiences that you've had with, let's say, your husband, your, and or your partner, or even new friends and everything, do you feel that people are accepting of it, or is there sort of a little bit of a sense of a judgment call on it?
I think people are like sometimes surprised by it, but ultimately like give me a lot of credit for it. And this kind of a lifestyle is not something that a lot of people do. It's partly why I wanted to write the book. It kind of pulls the curtain back on that, closed community, that society that a lot of people may have understood or heard of peripherally, but didn't really know much about. So when I get an opportunity to speak of my experiences, or when I had the opportunity to put out this book, I think people are excited to hear about it. I don't hold anything back. I have a husband of 22 years. He knows absolutely everything. And I think it makes me, that's who I am. If there's interesting parts of me, that's a large part of what that is.
Well, it certainly would make for a good conversation at a cocktail party or a coffee chat. And maybe when people hear it, they just have a tinge of regret, thinking, geez, I wished I had done that or more of that, or had been more carefree in my past. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the interview here, and I just I was just trying to make sure I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Now I want to give you a chance to maybe say one or two things that you feel I didn't cover, as well as some shameless promotion in that. Where can we go to get the book?
Okay, well, I love this conversation. This is a great conversation. Yeah, no, I think it's exactly what I said. This is a community, a society that people have heard about kind of peripherally, and I wanted to really show that there was a lot more to it than just a bunch of chaotic hippies in a van. There really was quite a self-sustaining community with momentum. And I hope that I do get that across in the book. And Yellowbirds is now out in wide release. You can find it anywhere you like to buy books. I highly encourage you to go to your favorite independent bookstore. And if they're not carrying it, they can certainly get it in as well.
Okay, and your website? I mean, I will put everything in the show notes, but it's good if you could say your website, please.
Sure. My website is www.karengreen.ca. And you can find me on Instagram at Karen Green. What is it? Karen Green _ author on Instagram.
Okay, so we'll be including those links in the show notes. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing this story. I think it's an incredible story with, and just incredible experience that I don't think a lot of people really get to live. I know that if I could go back in time and do some of those things, I would maybe have wanted to, or maybe not all of it, but pieces of it. Unfortunately, we can't go back in time. We have to live in the moment, and it doesn't matter, I guess, if we're 20, 16, 25, 45, or 50. We have to make the most of our life. So I think your book also would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong as I close out here, that you know you got to do what's right for you and capture kind of moments. And if you feel like you're missing out on something, it's never too late really to go and capture those moments, even if it's about travel or whatever. Would you agree?
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so I think it's good. Okay. So again, I want to thank Karen Green for joining us today. And I want to thank you, my lovely audience, for tuning in today. Remember, JTV YouTube Live comes out every Wednesday. We feature book authors, small and mid-sized business owners, and professionals with impactful stories and insightful stories that can really change your life. So we hope we'll see you next time. And until then, be well.